People of the Purple Butterfly here, otherwise known as People of 7 on Twitter and YouTube, people are elsewhere on the internet. My blog is located at purplebutterfly-people.blogspot.com. My soaps, Purple Butterfly Soaps, could be located at people.etsy.com. And my t-shirt designs, purplebutterfly-people.gmail.com. And the bread is ready. It's cooled down a little. And I can't wait to cut into it. Yeah. I took out my... Ooh, that's tender. I took out my watermelon knife. Perfect. Because it has a wide serrated edge. I mean, a serrated edge is what you want when you cut bread. But most knives have a very fine tooth serration. And they tend to, I mean, say for instance, this is your loaf of bread, and here's your knife. It tends to squish very roughly, whereas with the wide serrated edge, it just kind of saws right through. So, yeah. So I'm just going to cut right through very gently. And straighter. Yeah. That's good. Put that over there. But one of the things I wanted to see, and fortunately, I chose very well on this aluminum mold, because as you can tell, it's got little markings that show you where to cut, which is making this very easy. But one of the things I wanted to see was how dense the bread was. I'll explain that statement in a second. Just give me 1 second. I also like to try to cut the bread while it's still warm, because when it gets cooler, it might be harder to cut. And there are times, depending on your recipe, where instead of, hey, let's saw it a couple of times, so forth, so on, it might get like gummy or tough to cut, and then that gets to be a little annoying. Ask me how I know, and I will tell you so. Let's go. Especially on the end pieces. Now, there we go. Now, when I talk about density, when you hold up a piece of bread, or for that matter, anything that's, compact, you don't want a bunch of air holes in it, and by the same token, you don't want it so dense that it just be gummy. Like, think Wonder Bread. Wonder Bread tastes great. It was a staple for many years, but have you ever noticed that when you have a kid that gets bored, they ball it up and make little shapes out of it or whatever, and it holds together? That's because because of the very dense and moist bread. You go like this, and you could make bread sculptures out of it. And there's actually a book on how to do bread sculptures that I rented, well, not rented, took out of the library years ago. And I mean, it tells you how to make Christmas ornaments and stuff like that. And those things were permanent and they were cool. But when you're making dinner for someone, you don't want them making bread sculptures out of the food that you made them. That's just the easiest way to say it. Let's do it. In the meantime, I'm going to finish cutting these up. Now see, that was the little one. Wow, that's still hot. That's the bigger one. And when I make lunch tomorrow, we'll get a true opinion of what they think. Because I live in a house where people don't, shall we say, hold their tongue for nobody. Anyway, I'll bring you back. Alrighty then. They're all nice and cut. And these two are going into the freezer. And this one is going into the refrigerator. So that way, one will be ready for lunch. And the other two will be ready for not lunch. So when we are done with this one, or I might leave it on the table, then we can get to these. I hope you enjoyed. This has been People of 7 on Twitter and YouTube. People are elsewhere on the internet. My blog is located at purplebutterfly-people.blogspot.com. Soaps, Purple Butterfly Soaps, could be located at people.etsy.com. And my t-shirt designs, purplebutterfly-people.tmail.com. Y'all stay blessed and stay tuned. Bye now. In the meantime, remember that recipe was a 1, 2, 3, 5. 1 packet of active yeast or quick yeast or some kind of yeast, okay? 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of flour, those are your ones. All you need really is the yeast. You add the sugar or the flour just to make sure that, the yeast get proofed. Then the 2 would be 2 cups of water, very warm, between 100 to 112 degrees. You could go as high as 120, but that's getting into hot water. You don't want to mess up your yeast. So I kind of like stay in the 120 range, under, or 110, 112. And then the 3 is oil. My preference for oil would be 3 scoops, like tablespoon or teaspoon of butter. You could use olive oil or whatever. Some people like grapeseed oil because they want it light, but basically just need something that lubricates it in the form of butter, margarine, oil, like that. And then 5 is 5 cups of flour. All purpose is what most recipes use. I use self-rising. That way I don't have to worry about how much salt is in it, because I tend to put too much salt in stuff or not enough. So when it's already got it mixed in the proper proportions, then my food tastes okay. And to that, you basically put the liquids together, the yeast with the 2 cups of water, top that off with the melted butter, let it sit there for 20 minutes. Well, actually, you let the yeast and the water sit there for 20 minutes by itself. Then you add the melted butter. Then you get a big enough container, like this 32 cup bowl. I mean, that's huge. And you just start stirring the liquid into the flour until it sticks or pulls away from the pan. Then you knead it. Add a little more flour so that way it doesn't just automatically stick to your skin. You knead it. You let it sit for 30 to 60 minutes until it doubles in size, covered of course with a little plastic wrap. Then you punch a hole. Well, first you push it with your finger to see if it holds a dent. If it does that and it's doubled in size, that means it's ready to knead. So you push it down, knead it a little bit, shape it into the pans or the rolls or buns or whatever it is you're going to make. Then you let it rise again. It's like when I first put it in here, the dough was at the bottom here, and then I just let it rise until it was at the top, and that means time to bake it. Not 350. 425 for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how long it takes to bake. Usually it's 30 minutes to 40 minutes, or go by your nose. I set the timer for 40 minutes, but 18 minutes into it, I could smell it. It was like, So I came back and the timer said 18 minutes left, and I started with 40. So basically it was like, well, that's close enough. And then I let it sit so that way the heat, if it wasn't completely done baking, can, finish the job. And then it was bread. So you can do this. This has been People of 7 on Twitter and YouTube, People of elsewhere on the internet. My blog is located at purplebutterfly-people.blogspot.com. My soaps, Purple Butterfly Soaps, could be located at people.etsy.com. And my t-shirt designs, purplebutterfly-people.tmail.com. Y'all stay blessed, stay tuned. Bye now.